Okay, that's super loud. All right. How's that audio? Probably good if I went to chat here. I had to kind of take apart my office space here and put it back together. Had to move some stuff around. Good audio? Great. How you guys doing this evening? All right, so a couple things. I completely blanked. Thanks for joining us on a very late start. I should probably tweet out that I'm streaming. Hold on one second. It's all right. People will figure it out. I don't care how many people tune in. This is kind of, we're just hanging out. Audio's legit, video's legit. That Catwoman. Yeah. So what happened was I reviewed the stream, the last stream, and while the camera was a lot better, we got a lot more focus and clarity in the image. I realized that as I moved my hand, I kind of blocked the light. The paper would go from being overexposed, really blown out, to kind of so you can see the pencil sometimes, but then I move my hand away, the light would stream in and would blow out the image. And so I basically tested out some stuff and turned on the manual exposure. So hopefully that should be taken care of. Yeah, so what is this? Okay, so I'm going to walk you through what I did a couple of nights ago. I was supposed to do the Batman 50 cover. I think this was... when did I do that cover? I think I did it Tuesday night, and I didn't start working till like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And when you do those kinds of things, you have an image in mind, and the page I did before, right, there was this double page spread that I was working on, which was, right, that was like one half of it, right, and then there was another half that had a figure swinging on it, right, but that figure was a lot larger. So what I ended up doing is, this was going to be actually a double page spread that was going to be in the interior. And I realized, well, we're not. It was going to be a double page spread because one artist was kind of behind, and we didn't have room for a page. Well, there'll be one page left over. So I volunteered to take my idea and make it a double page spread. So that artist came through. So I had to change my image to a single page image, which I will not share tonight, but it's done as part of Batman 50. So then I thought, well, maybe I could take this double page spread and make it one image and use it as the cover, my variant cover. And so in the original layout, if you look back on the stream, this Batman figure is a lot larger, and it was essentially Batman and Catwoman with the city behind. And so I said, okay, I'll just take him and shrink him down, right, which I did here, and then draw her in the foreground here. So that was going to be my cover, and I assume it would be a virgin cover without trade dress. That's why it's so high up there. And so I worked on that for probably a couple hours. And what usually happens is I get to the point where I go, I'm not so happy with this cover. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. I forgot I have to it'll stream with the camera on standby, but to make it so it doesn't automatically stop. I actually have to record. So I forgot to hit the record. So bear with me, getting used to this new setup. But if I record, I can do it for like 6 hours. So there's plenty of time. I just have to remember to do that. So anyway, so I turned. So I'm sure around 3 in the morning or so, I decided to jettison this idea. And then I had this other idea of, well, actually I had several other ideas. One was looking at Catwoman from behind her, sort of standing straight up with Batman kind of looming in the foreground. Kind of like this image I did of Psylocke and Colossus back in the day during the Acts of Vengeance storyline. So I started Googling women's backsides and looking at that reference, and then I said, that's not very personal. And then I had other stuff where Catwoman and Batman were embracing, and then I saw Jorge Jimenez did something very similar, and then some of these other variant covers had other similar ideas, and I was like starting to run out of time. And then I had this idea, which was just kind of a very standard, Catwoman and Batman on a rooftop. And you can see I had Batman actually standing up, facing the same direction at one point. And I didn't like that. And then I, looked at the clock, and it was probably about 4:30 in the morning. And I decided I have to make a decision here. And I said, what if I just did something like I did with that big Joker cover for Batman Hush, and come in close and kind of find this tender moment in the rain. I even thought about the Batman Catwoman being upside down in that kind of Spider-Man pose. And luckily I didn't do that, because that image is in the book somewhere. So so you start realizing there's only so many ways to pose the characters. So I finally settled on the characters kind of touching forehead to forehead. And I put Batman on the left, so it wouldn't mirror what Jorge Jimenez did, where I think Catwoman's on the left, kind of embracing Batman, but the camera angle is further back. So I finally settled on that at like 4:30, and I finished the cover, I think at 7:30 in the morning. So that was like a 3-hour cover. And it's kind of like what you read about like musicians, and they talk about some of their biggest hits, like pop songs, they write them in like 15 minutes, or it comes to them really quickly. And I think once I settled on that idea, I knew that was the one, and it went very, very quickly. So all in all, I probably spent 7.5 hours working, but the actual cover itself took 3.5 hours of work, right? So that's part of the process. And so I had thought, and the reason why I shared this, and the reason why I didn't stream it, or even record it, I think, is when I'm in working solely by myself without the stream, or even recording, I think I'm having an internal dialogue and talking about what I like or don't like, and trying. When you see me draw on stream, you'll see that I erase a lot. So not only am I erasing a lot, but I'm also changing mine very, very quickly in terms of what I want to draw. And so I'm Googling, different expressions, figures kissing in the rain, just anything for inspiration. So not only am I erasing, but I'm also jumping from idea to idea. And I think that's best done kind of in a vacuum by myself, in that it would have been a very different kind of experience, and I think a very different kind of cover if I had streamed that whole process. But that said, I was pretty happy with the result, and it was really cool because a lot of people seem to really dig that cover. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these other ones. I'll figure out something. Anyway, welcome in. I apologize for not being able to do it Wednesday, but instead you'll get 3 days of streams. We're going to stream tonight. We have, I think, an hour and a half or so. Tomorrow we're going to do a critique, an art critique or portfolio critique, and then we'll have the usual Sunday stream. So let me get caught up. What do we have? We have Kangaroo Banger. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for resubscribing in 6 months. Love Justice League #1. Great cover. Thank you very much, Kangaroo Banger. Red Remedy has, let me get some stuff out and we can start, because there's other things that we're going to do tonight. We've got a lot of things. Oh. Let's start with this. This is kind of a catch-up stream, I said. I'm going to work on a bunch of different things that I had kind of started and we'll see if we can kind of get through and finish a bunch of this stuff. Thank you, Matches Malone, for subscribing through Prime. We've got art supplies not anywhere around, so I've got a brush. Looking for ink. Ink. Dan at Earth has resubscribed. Thank you very much. Happy 4 months. And I also think, who did I miss? Someone, when I was reviewing the stream, and I enjoy it because it's just fun reading all the chat that I miss. There was someone that had resubscribed that I hadn't called out, and it's Mialsa. Can someone in stream help me? What is it? The person's name? Mialsa? Maliasa? Anyone know? No, it wasn't you, Wildstorm CCG. No, it started with an M. He's always doing like so and such confirmed. Beliasa. That's it. Yes. So I want to thank Beliasa for the resub and the support. So I apologize for missing out. So Tenkin337 has resubscribed. Dan of the Earth, as I mentioned, Matches Malone87. X-Cave Troll, 9 months, been around since the start. Kanger Banger, of our said. Red Remedy has also resubscribed for 4 months. Thank you for the vote of confidence. Quick Draw 13 has resubbed for 6 months as well. I'm sure this milestone was acknowledged, but I'll use this opportunity to say congrats on the Batman 50 cover. Thank you very much, dude. One of the best. But yeah, that was a 3-hour cover. Done at 4:30 to 7:30 in the morning. That was actually not Tuesday. It was Sunday night. I think I got up at like 9:30, so I slept 2 hours. Casual Hero has cheered. Wife said she saw you on Cake Wars. That was like a year or two ago, so that was kind of a fun experience. Spent 10 hours there for, I think it's a 20-minute episode or 35, something like that. So there's a lot of great moments that were left on the cutting room floor. You have to take my word on that. Super Rico has hosted. Thank you very much. Ghost Rider 27595 has resubscribed for 2 months. Cynthia Yip. Hey, Cynthia. Good evening. Happy weekend. Late night streaming has cheered as well. Thank you, longtime supporter and cheerer. So I appreciate that. Alika Comics has subscribed for 4 months. Thank you. Pronounced Alley Cat. Oh, sorry. Alika Comics. Sorry. Alley Cat Comics. Tactical Side Duck has resubscribed for 3 months. Wheels has resubscribed as well. CTC Firebird has cheered, as has Bruce Art. Hey, it's good to see you again, Will Bruce Art, longtime supporter. Nemesis Platinum has hosted. Rojas Wolf has resubscribed as well. What else are we missing here? Sam Peterson Art, and hosted with 11 viewers. Thank you, Sam Peterson Art, and welcome in all the people from that stream. So, Gothy Miri has also resubscribed using Prime. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you get a free Twitch Prime membership. It's a pretty cool feature of Amazon Prime. So I am all caught up. What do we got? We got Ren Elephant in the house. We have, is he the only mod? Who do we have going on tonight? Vic G, what's going to happen to that Batman Catwoman rough? I honestly don't know. I mean, it's not finished by a long shot. I don't know. Maybe I'll finish it someday in stream. Action Detective 11. Jim, don't be annoying. I don't want to be annoying. Please don't worry. You are not. Please don't be mad. Whose portfolio is being reviewed? I don't know. So I will probably review it in the morning, and sometimes I pick a couple different ones, but yeah, I mean, if you happen to miss it, it will be on YouTube, Save for All Prosperity. Oh, yeah, it's just Ren. Ren is the big pimp tonight. Uncontested mod status. All right. Very cool. We got Ink One in the house. Good evening. A lot of regulars I see from all around the world. Very cool. Nice to have you guys. Let me have my. You know what? I'm gonna eat something. I'm sorry, but I gotta have a little something here. The Ghost of Don Bradman. I recently bought Whiskey Island in the Thousand Islands. I extend my personal invitation if you want to come visit. What is that? Like, you bought an actual island in the Thousand Islands? I'm thinking, isn't Thousand Islands? It's a salad dressing, isn't it? No, you know, I shouldn't. Hold on a sec. One second. This ink is empty. Gotta find some more. Be right back. Let's try superhero swimmer art. Sorry, sorry, Marcus Welb. Wow, I'm gonna pour my ink in the coffee. That would have been really bad. That's a Jeremy. That's a Jeremy L. Joe. It's a long form stream. I feel no pressure to start early. I'm just hanging out. I hope you guys are hanging out too, given that it's a Friday night for most of the people. Well, actually, all the people in the United States, right? Okay. What happened to the little thing? Sorry. Anyway, I did the Batman 50 cover. I punched out my one page for the interior. I bought some tissues for tonight. And so I was kind of away from the drawing board for a couple days. It's been a little hectic this week. All right, here we go. I'll use this one here. So I just kind of pour it into here. Okay, hold on a second. Great. So what I'm going to do is finish inking this. and I'm excited to try something new. Instead of doing all these lines down here, I'll show it to you later. Hold on, let me just finish this. But at the bottom, he's got a grad going on, and I'm gonna. This piece is was penciled by Scott Williams, who usually is my inker, and so he wanted me to ink a piece of his, and he delivered the very fine, detailed pencils. And where I'm going to deviate the most, I think, from what he laid out to me, or what he drew, is, look at that, that was no good. Sloppy. This paper is a little, let's clean that up with a marker. It's a little porous. He could have given me a slightly better, so it's my chance to now complain about the paper quality. But the bottom, he's got like a lot of parallel lines that kind of fade off into white, kind of indicating a smoky fog effect at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use tissue paper, what I normally do, to create that grad. Kind of smear down, I think. But so I don't get the ink on the figures I've inked. Normally when I do it, I don't have a lot of fine rendering and stuff like that, so it's very easy for me to go back in with whiteout and fix anything I've done. Hold on one second. There we go. Well, all right. So I'm going to use liquid frisket. And those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically a liquid that you apply over artwork, and it basically dries and creates a film that prevents you from, like if you splattered ink on the piece after that, you could then rub the liquid frisket and it basically rolls off. You know, it's an adhesive that dries and creates a film that you could then manually rub off the image. The only thing is when I do the tissue paper smudge effect, I'm rubbing into the paper, so I'm pretty sure it will roll, it will pick up the frisket, so I have to do it. You only get kind of like one take. You can't manipulate the surface too much. And so yeah, let me get back a little bit so I have a little room for air. So that's what I'm going to do down here. So it's kind of a bit of an experiment, and I ordered it off Amazon, so hopefully it'll work. But it can also pick up elements off the paper itself. I've used it before. It's not my favorite, but oh crap. This paper is porous. But it's also been sitting here in my office where it gets very hot during the day and kind of chilly at night, and I think that basically imbues the paper with moisture, and it just I've noticed that over time that sometimes, hold on a second, let's see what I'm doing. Don't worry, Scott, I'm giving all the care and love and care and attention to the piece. Now I can actually see what I'm doing. Before I was just sort of inking blindly. Yeah. So I'm just filling in the areas that are clearly marked as black, and then I'll lightly erase it. Or actually, I don't know. It's so tight that I don't know if I need to erase anything because all the pencils have been pretty much covered. There's no errant pencil lines that need work. It's pretty easy. For those of you who are wondering why I'm off camera when I ink, it's by design, so don't worry. There's nothing wrong with my setup. I realize I have all sorts of weird facial tics. They're not that weird, but I have facial tics when I'm working. So it's best for your own safety. Okay. KD89. Yes, yeah, you're probably, yeah, see, that's the other risk I run. Okay. Now the weird thing is, and this is why I don't like to put art down for long periods of time, is I'm like, what did I mean by this area? Was this supposed to be black or not? I don't remember. And that's when you realize, like, even when you're working inking wise, you're storing stuff in short-term memory. Kind of like, okay, I'm gonna ink this like this, outline this like this, but then when I go into the brush, I'm gonna fade out or do whatever effect. And since enough time has passed, all that has kind of passed out of my memory. So I'm just literally following the last instructions I left to myself on this page, with these little dots. I don't use X's because I find that the X's will show up through the ink later and it looks odd. I don't like, for the sake of the original, if I just put a little dot like that, it's unnoticeable. Later when you look at the original, it makes for a better looking original. When you scan it, the blacks turn to all black. They flatten out, so you don't see X's or dots or anything. But the originals will still kind of, if you look at it, the paper, you'll see remnants of instructions underneath the black filled in areas. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look at the tip, sometimes like the tip of the brush, you'll see the line kind of bleed out into the paper fibers. So I can't load up the brush with too much ink because it would just invite the ink to basically spread out and really create some bad bleed effects, unintentional bleed effects. To the person that had the island is, maybe I should Google that. I'm like curious, like Whiskey Island. I'm trying to think if I was invited to an island before. There was one time I was invited to a Fredericks of Hollywood photo shoot. They had this idea where they wanted some comic book artists to come down to a photo shoot of women in swimsuits on a tropical island for Fredericks of Hollywood. It was kind of like Victoria's Secret. It was like the main competitor to Victoria's Secret back in the 90s. And I was like, I'll check with my wife. And who's now my ex-wife. This was my first wife, but that's not why we split up. But she said no. I think John Romita Jr. went. I have to ask him like how that experience was. But I think he went down there and he just kind of drew models in swimsuits for some project. Every now and then you get a weird project like that. Roy Batty, what's good, Jim? What's good? Thanks for entertaining us measly peasants. Please, like, I think we have an awesome community here. We are all measly peasants, or we are all members of chat, equal members of chat. Sunly Bees has subscribed. CTC Firebird has cheered. Oh my god. These glasses are... I'm nearsighted now, so I can't see longer distances. Shin Kong has cheered as well. Thanks for coming to MegaCon. I hope you come back again. It was an honor to meet you. Pleasure was mine. I was super tempted to cry, but you told me not to. Yeah, you know, because I'm like one of those guys that cries when they see someone else cry, so I didn't want us to both cry. Tears of joy, of course. The comic source. Hey Jim, been a bit. Justice League #1 was amazing, as was your cover for it. Also looking forward to seeing that Batman 50 cover up close. Me too. I only see the pencils for the cover, and then it disappears. At some point. At some point, I get the original back from Scott after he signs it, and we'll do something with it, I'm sure. But I want to see his inks up close. I'll tell you that scan. I did a scan of the pencils, and I looked at it and go like, "Ooh." There's so much cross-hatching, it just all turns to gray. Like, I hope he knows what he's doing. Of course, we sent him a photocopy of the pencils. And then I even did I took the scan of the pencils, and I took it into Photoshop, and I basically did a tonal value study of the piece, so that if he ever kind of lost his way, i.e., my pencils were so muddy that he couldn't tell. I didn't really care if he inked the lines per se. I wanted him to hit the tonal gradation, like, is this black, is it a dark gray, a medium dark gray, medium gray, light medium gray, or light gray. And I kind of did a tonal study of the whole piece very loosely, so because I think that's the trick to that cover, is like, it's not so much inking all the lines. Inking the lines it's fine. I think it's just a matter of time, but it's about making sure that the gray here and the black here are in relationship to one another, right? If you're going to create all these different tone values of gray, you want to make sure that one isn't darker than intended. But he nailed it. And then Alex Sinclair did the coloring, and that was awesome. He nailed that. There's a very subtle heart shape that's kind of created by the black light, the backlight of the piece. And then, of course, a lot of people picked up on the small upside-down Joker reflected in Catwoman's goggles. But yeah, I mean, we actually talked through, like, okay, should we put a highlight on that face so that's really apparent, or do we kind of bury it with a flat color and let people kind of discover it on their own? And the decision was, you know, to really underplay it. You know, it's a touching scene. The object is not to have you look at it and go like, oh, I see Joker. It should be something that comes about through after extended viewing. But once you know it's there, it's kind of hard to unsee, I think. That's what I've heard, at least. But yeah, it was funny. It took a little while, but someone finally posted online that they saw it. It was not Goku. It was the Joker. There's a time and place for Goku references, you know. I think Goku makes light of the moment, and Joker plays into the fiction. Okay. This brush is, like I said, these are new brushes, and you can see how delicate a line I can create with it. And they also hold a lot of ink if you load it up just right. I'm kind of excited to kind of pull back and look at this whole thing as it's coming together. You can kind of see how Scott placed all the black shapes to create highlights across all the thighs and different muscle groups. And yeah, superheroes from art. Yeah, honestly, the amount of hours for a cover really plays little relationship to how it turns out. They're covers that, I mean, there's usually some correlation. The ones that take longer have more detail. People seem to react positively to it, but there's definitely covers I've done where I probably put too much detail, and I would have been better served by doing something a little simpler. And there's lots of little areas that are meant to be filled in with black, so it's going to take a little time. Like right here. And right here. That's correct, Cryptic Games. Goku's for unofficial work. Or if there's a cover that was more like a Harley Quinn cover or something, Lobo or something kind of more zany. But I want to distract you from something like if it's, the Death of Superman cover to throw in some sort of Goku image. This just wouldn't be right. You know, so the thing with inking is that it's obviously based on technique, the ability to kind of control a brush, the tools. But there's a big part of the drawing, it's not just about tracing. You're really redrawing over the image and making kind of decisions about how wide or broad the outlines are, stuff like that. But even here I did a thin line and have a sort of a thicker, small, subtle shadow. That gets wiped out when I fill this whole thing in with black. So kind of worked against myself a little bit, and that I put the time into kind of modulate that line. and it gets unmodulated by the time I fill in the blacks. That's just because I don't really ink a lot. I think if you ink a lot, you kind of can organize that activity a lot better in your head, so you know like why I'm not going to spend a lot. I'm just going to draw a flat line here because I know I'm going to go back in with the brush. Good night, GGMTV. What's going on? Goku, Goku jokes. Is it stressful? No, like, yeah, I think it's stressful the first time you ink someone, especially if they're an inker themselves. But again, sheer practice. The more you ink, the better you get. That's it. I remember the first time using a brush, there's no, like, when you use a pen, you have that active resistance of the tip against the board. With a brush, it almost feels like there's no tip, there's no resistance, and you just feel like there's nothing there. It's a fake out. And it's just about sensitizing your hands, and then you realize, no, there is resistance. It's just a lot less than a pen nib, a marker nib. So you just kind of recalibrate the amount of pressure you want to put down. Okay, I think the fade out's going to start around there. You can also see how much moisture the paper has absorbed, right? So I don't think that the paper manufacturer put enough of a finish on it, but you can see it. It's hard to see actually from the top, but you can see it from the side. It is pretty much crinkled up pretty drastically. All right, the corner's really that way. Look at that. So at some point I'll tape it down. Okay. There we go. I think I filled in all the black shapes on Catwoman. All I have left on Batman is this area, the cape. Then I'll do liquid frisket and see where we go from there. A heat press will fix that. Let me see if I have a heat press. No, I don't have a heat press. I don't even know what a heat press is. Anyway, mint condition out the door. You know, I don't, as you can tell from the sketches, if any of you guys have gotten sketches, won sketches, or won the silent auction for sketches, I'm not very precious about the materials, the how I put them on the page, or the paper quality. I'm all about the scan and what's actually printed or seen. So yeah, the originals aren't in the best of shape, but I think that's very freeing and liberating, because you're working towards what is viewed or perceived, rather than stuff that you can't even see unless you own the original. But that said, you know, you put it in a frame, it looks fine. Right? But if you get an original, you'll see like the whiteout can be caked on. And I always loved that about original boards when I first broke into business. It's always, I remember the first time I saw an original piece of art, I was like, whoa, they draw it this size? Like, whoa, look at all the the whiteout effects, or look at all the light pencil lines underneath, and the margin notes, all that kind of stuff. The glue stains, because all that stuff drops out when you take a photograph or a scan of the image. Molly Monk, so cool. What's the deal with today's stream? Today is a literal catch-up stream where I just kind of work on different things that I've kind of started and not finished. So this is one of them. There's also a sketch I received from a person in chat, a Psylocke image. I'm going to open up the package and get cracking on that as well. I think there's like a Joker image somewhere that I started from the triptych that I restarted. Let me find that so I can show you what is on deck for you, for those of you who are. I figure it's pretty late for the people in the East Coast. So maybe I should hold off on the Joker one. Stephen Murillo. Sorry, is this auction? No, this is. I'm just doing this. This is for Scott. The truth is, sometimes we gift original art to the writers of the books that we work on, and in times past, I've compensated my inkers for that because it's a loss of income for them, you know. But more often than not, like Scott's like, you know, I don't care. Go ahead, gift it. You know, make sure it's for both of us, of course. But I'll do this in exchange. It's like, hey, or I'll do a pinup for him or whatever. I think I'm like way behind on that. So now I'm like filling in things that weren't even there. So this is where the embellishing part starts. I'm looking at it, just kind of balancing the blacks and right. And so this is kind of my way of paying back Scott for his generosity. So yeah, I'll just finish this and then mail it back to him. It's probably one of the few, if I wonder, is this the first time I've ever inked him like on a finished piece of this size? I don't know. I don't really ink other people. I'm more of a finisher. I mean, I'll just kind of draw over people for the most part. But still trying to be respectful to the pencil somehow in some way, shape, or form. So when I do that stroke there, I'm basically kind of drying out the ink in the tip a little bit so that it gives me a sharper line. So it's not just loaded with ink. So when I come down, I can't. So I can put down a thin line instead of a big blobby line. And I know this is going to be black here, so I can go in and do that. Wait, how to become eligible for me to ink stuff? Yeah, you know what? We'll put that in the Discord channel. This is a really great opportunity for me to kind of promote the Discord channel. For those of you who don't know, Discord is a third-party messaging communications platform primarily created so people that game together, like teams, can talk on headphones or using mics, so they can coordinate their efforts in a game. And it runs in parallel, concurrent with whatever game you're playing. But it also allows you to create kind of a very basic message board, but people can post links and start different little channels. So in our Discord, if you're not a sub, I think you have access to a couple channels where everything's just kind of put in there as a hodgepodge, more or less. But if you are a subscriber, it unlocks a bunch of other channels where we have stuff about individual upcoming conventions. Excuse me. There's an area where people can kind of showcase their own art or artwork they've purchased. There's a section that talks about taking suggestions from people in stream, in chat, to improve the stream. So there's a lot of it's a great way of creating connective tissue in between the live streams. So go there to get information on how to get your artwork inked by me, and then I mail it back to you. Buchan Red was the first one, and I think he won. I think it was just like one of these late night streams, and I think I just did like a random draw. Like I just used a Nightbot and said, I want to say that's what I did. Let people type in a keyword, and then if you won, I sent you an address, a mailing address, and you basically mailed in a sketch, and I would ink at some point. So, yeah, after I do tonight's, go into Discord, and that's also a sub-only feature. Meaning, if you're not a sub, you can obviously watch it for free and everything, but to actually have the art picked, I'll probably do it as a sub-only sort of giveaway. Yeah. Nova Primex says, Jim Lee, have you ever worked with J. Scott Campbell? Have I worked with... I gave that guy his start in comics. What are you talking about? Of course I worked with him. I hired him when he was 19 years old. He was, I think, the second or third hire. The first hire at Wildstorm was Brett Booth. And then there was a local artist named Scott Clark. And then Alex Garner and Jeff Campbell, I think, were the very first four people. And then later, Ryan Benjamin. Yeah, so, yeah. It was very interesting because, Jeff is a young-looking guy. And when he came in at 19, he looked like Harry Potter. And not from the later movies. I'm talking about the very first Christopher Columbus directed Harry Potter. He looked like a little kid. Actually, he was tall, but thin, and by thin, very thin. And he had these round Harry Potter glasses, and it was super cute because he drove out to. Oh, there goes chat. He drove out to California. His grandparents drove him out, and there was like a car, maybe a car with like a attached U-Haul, and inside this U-Haul were boxes and boxes of magazines. They were reference magazines. They were like National Geographic, and it was like crazy how much. Like he literally brought like every bit of reference that back before the days of Google and the internet, people had to have books or pictures of how to draw planes, trains, cars, cities, and he had all that. I just remember like this U-Haul just packed with these boxes. I'm like, who is this kid? And aren't these the sweetest grandparents ever, right? And so I remember kind of helping him unpack all that stuff. So yeah, he was one of the very first artists we hired, and was there for quite a long time before he finally moved back to Colorado, where he lives now. All right, let's take a little break and see where we're at. My tablet here died. It was very low on power, and for whatever reason, the charger will not keep up with it, so I just have to let that sit. Gummy35 has resubscribed 3 months already. Congrats, man. Thank you for your support. Wolf McQueen has cheered. Was hoping I would be able to stay awake for the whole stream, but I've been up for 24 hours now, so I'm off. Well, thanks for hanging in there and making the attempt, Wolf McQueen. Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do. Have a great night. Thank you. Tempest8 has resubscribed for 4 months. Dark Fudge has resubscribed for 3 months. Granddad Mirabertus has subscribed using Prime. Sorry for the difficulty in being able to read it from a distance. Suddenly Bees has subscribed as well using Prime. Bigfoot Life has subscribed as well. And Jerry Gonzalez has cheered. Thank you very much, Jerry Gonzalez. Much appreciated. Bard JK2 actually has resubscribed for 9 months. My first Twitch baby. I don't know if that means this stream or you've been subscribing for 9 months, or is this the first time you were on Twitch? I don't know. I think I don't know if I mentioned these, but these look new to me. Will Bruce Art has resubscribed for 9 months. Thank you very much, Will Bruce Art. Revenge Sinister, Halsey690, Doogie Mark. They all subscribed. I think I mentioned them, but I'm getting forgetful in my old age. Bigfoot Life has subscribed. Thank you very much. I'm caught up, I believe. Now I'm just missing chat. 1 second. Let me open it up over here while the tablet recharges. Be good if I muted it. Man, I sound tired. I'm like, while it charges. Hey, Crispy Egg Roll. Dude. I am missing some quality chat. Maybe it was divine providence. It spared me the Crispy Egg Roll chat. So we have 2 mods in the house. We have Crispy Egg Roll. We have Ren Elephant. Thank these guys now rather than later. I always save it to the end, but there's no reason not to thank these guys. They give freely of their time, and I've only been here for 45 minutes, and only now you acknowledge me. These are the neediest mods in the world, but they're lovable. They're lovable. But yeah, they work to make sure the streams go off without a hitch, that you guys have all the information, that they fill in all the answers when I'm not necessarily able to see every question on stream. They create the automated bot replies. They make sure that we keep track of where we're at in terms of the giveaways, and they put a lot of time in on the Discord channel. So there's a lot of great stuff they do, and so I want to always give them as much pub and attention and thanks as possible. High stress, no pay job. You know what? Let me tell you, it is good preparation for life. If you love something, it doesn't feel like work, I'm told. All right, let's... okay, so I've filled in all the areas that were indicated to be black. Now, question is, what do I do over here and here? Okay. I'm going to go in and start balancing blacks. So you got full blacks over here, here, here. I feel like some of these divots could be a little darker. And that. So it really doesn't change the underlying drawing Meaning you're not going to look at it and go like, oh, it looks really different, but I think it does. I don't know. I don't know what it does. It punches up a little bit. At least I look at it. Maybe, yes. And then you look at this gradient. I think it looks cleaner that way. Maybe put like something like that there. I hope Scott doesn't watch this. He'll be like, ah! Sorry. Should have given you some prep on that. He's probably going, what are you doing? If I wanted to ink that way, I would have penciled it that way. Okay, now see, this is where it gets a little tricky. Right in here. I wanted to blend it a little bit more, but I don't know if I have the skills to do it. Wish me luck. See, I'm chickening out, going somewhere else. Okay, I'm going to come back. I'm holding my breath. Yeah. That was tense, right? Woof. All right. I'm not done yet. It'd be good if I passed out and my forehead like hit that would be a good moment. Okay. So I'm just doing like, again, I'm not like changing proportions. I'm just doing little things here and there. Just kind of following through on some of the ideas that Scott put down in terms of the musculature. See how this is like super dark here in the way I did a finer grad here, so that's kind of an imbalance, like it's super light here, super dark there. So let's see what happens if I kind of blend out. By the way, this is not how I would actually recommend you guys ink someone else. I don't think the pencilers would be happy with it. I don't know. I told Scott, I warned him beforehand, like, you know, it's unlikely I'll just ink whatever is there. I'm not enough, I don't have enough control over the instruments to kind of do a super finessey thing. So what I can kind of bring to a finished ink piece is maybe these kinds of contributions, if you can call them contributions. Okay. Let's see if this is, no, it's at 1%. I need to turn this off so it charges better. Yeah. Okay. Let me see where I'm at, chat here. Scott in here? Let's see. Stream is lagged. That's probably on your end. I've got like crazy download and upload bandwidth at this point. Damo1328, got to drop out and do some housework. Thanks for the stream, Jim. Thank you, Damo1328, for hanging in there, checking it out. Monsage says, would you use whiteout to correct something here, or professional whiteout ink, or acrylic? I only use the stuff I use. I consider to be professional materials. That Pentel whiteout sticks. I don't like the acrylic white that comes in a little jar. It's not opaque enough. You'll find that you have to apply it 3 or 4 times to have it cover black area. Whereas that Pentel, boom, hits it once. And I'd rather go in and do something that's really rough and blobby and then clean up the edges and get the line I want, rather than go in and try to replicate a shape using a brush 4 times over trying to get something white. Jeremy J. Joe. Scott, I'm probably going to F up your pencils. Dash Jim Lee. Yeah. Alright, see you later, Comic Zombie. Superhero Swarm. Alright, what age would you say most comic artists break in? I think Art Adams broke in when he was like 17. If you're super good or talented, maybe 19. But most of them, the people I hired, I noticed that they really start getting good like between 21 and 25. So I think when you get younger than 21, the talent might be there, but the maturity and the discipline might not be. Jeff Campbell was sort of an exception. He came in at 19, but he was pretty obsessed with drawing at that point. Had been drawing quite a lot at that point, and had kind of developed style and understanding of technique. So he was like a wunderkind, as they say. But there's no rush. Like, if I were 19 to 21, I would enjoy life, go out there, have some fun, before you lock yourself into this lifestyle of drawing for a living and working crazy hours to make your deadlines. The work will come later. Go around with a beret, a sketchbook, and, draw people and, enjoy life. That's what I would recommend. And then like 21, 22, get serious. Mike Jones scribbles. Yeah, you're asking. Yeah, just kind of focusing on the inking questions for this stream. If that's cool, I can address Worm's Eye View kind of stuff at another time, if that's all right. Mr. Blue 616, love the work you do, Jim. I use Micron pens for my inks mostly. Same here, but it's easier to kind of do these shadows with a brush at this point. Kirihiko, hey Kirihiko, good morning, Kate. Has subscribed with tier 1 sub, subscribed for 10 months in a row. Congrats. Wow, is it 10 months? I thought 9 months was like the original, the OG chatters, the OG stream chatters. Yeah, 10 months now. Okay. See you later, Shan Kong. Good night. Sketchbooks art. Jim used my eraser at MegaCon during your panel. Would you sign it for me if I mailed it to you? I don't really like taking stuff in the mail. Then it's just. I'm sure I'll see you at another convention, if not MegaCon. So, more than happy to sign it, but seems like an extravagance to mail a poor little eraser across the country. All 3 mods in the house. That is correct, Vic G. We are a fully operational Death Star. The Trinity, Crispy, Ren, and Kate. What is the oldest I've seen? Ask why he in terms of people breaking in. I've heard of artists in their mid-30s to late 30s breaking in. But I noticed that a lot of the young artists I brought in, I bring in different waves of artists that were around 20, 21. They start the rate of progress was super fast, and I attribute that to maybe the brain, like the visual, spatial kind of cognitive abilities really coalescing and becoming more functional, or like what you see and the hand-eye coordination all kind of come together for the first time in a real way. Same way, like it's a lot easier to learn foreign languages when you're like, I think 10 years or younger. Like if you're super young, the mind is much more receptive to learning foreign languages. So like 5-year-olds can learn a foreign language in like 6 months, and their accents are perfect. Once you get past out of like 10 or 12 years of age, they can still learn it, but it's a different kind of learning. It takes them longer, and their accents aren't that good because the part of the brain that kind of can handle different accents kind of has closed off and essentially accepting no more business, I guess. Kirihiko had an awesome stream earlier today. That's good to hear. Thank you, Mike Jones. Someday we will coordinate so we can go raid Kirihiko's stream. The only problem is she's a mod, so she would know that we're going to do that. But I'll figure it out. We'll go raid her unexpectedly somehow. Superhero art. Damn, that was deep AF. The cognitive. I was a psych major, so it's always interested in me. There's a lot of stuff. The mind is very interesting. Even the way people think. One tends to think like you are the same person in terms of your thoughts and your beliefs, but it changes in ways that you can't necessarily control. There are certain things that happen at certain life points or age brackets in your life. You start out very kind of fixated on your parents, and then later you get very fixated on your friends and your peers. That's like the teenage years, and then you become a young adult, like 21 or so. You start really forming that. Well, at adolescence and young adulthood, you figure out your own identity. Then later you start caring about the community and others around you. I mean, it's this weird thing that happens, and so obviously there's things that are happening in your brain that are constantly developing, and drawing and the ability to see things and be able to replicate them and process composition and lighting and all that. I think it's just too much for a teenager. No offense to the teens, but that there's something that happens around 20, 21, 22 where the brain is able to kind of take all this stimuli and information and kind of organize in a way. Tyrock1, thanks for coming in for a stream. Very cool. Wolf Steel, I now carry a Taco Bell receipt at all times. That's cool. We are the Death Star. I'm like way behind in the chat. I'm sorry. Um, Neuroplasticity. Yes. Squash 1212. What's happening tomorrow? Possibly tomorrow. I don't know. Good morning, Ite Sandie. Oh, okay. Got it. So, all right, looks like I'm going to start this. Let me get the liquid frisket. Hold on. I will follow up on this. Hold on one second. Reach in here. I feel like playing Operation. Oh my God. I jacked up my shoulder, as you can tell. It is messed up. So I have an MRI scheduled next couple weeks. They have to do it. They have to shoot up my shoulder with some dye or something. I don't know, some injectable, and then do an MRI. But basically, I tore some very small muscles deep inside. All right, so this is Incredible White Mask Liquid Frisket. I don't know if you can see it. All right, there you go. So tomorrow I've got a portfolio review in the morning. So afterwards, we're going to secretly raid Kirihiko's stream. So don't let her know. Then we just go and just like wreak havoc because none of us are mods. Does she have a mod? Is it one of our mods? Is that possible? Do we have an inside man on the stream that can? Like Kirihiko's going, what you guys talking about? Oh, superhero swimmer art. No, the enjoy life stuff. Okay, got it. Yeah. Yeah, you'll thank me later. I tell kids like that 16, like, don't worry about breaking into comics, Just continue. If you love drawing, continue drawing what you love. Like, enjoy it. You can learn about all that other perspective and all that other stuff later. Keep up your passion for it at that age. Because I feel like there's I don't want to call it dangerous, but there's a period in like a kid's life, probably during adolescence, where they might get sidetracked on other things like that. The things they liked as a tween, as a 12-year-old, or might not be the things that they kind of escape adolescence with. They might not have the same passions, I guess. Let's just say that. All right. So to kind of combat that, like, and sometimes when you introduce a lot of rigor and knowledge to someone that's young, I think they get disinterested in it because it's too hard for them or it's not what they're interested in. It's like, just because you have some ability, you go, all right, now do this. Draw 100 buildings. We're going to master perspective. And if they're not really into it, you're just going to discourage them from wanting to draw. So that's why I always tell young kids, like, hey, you want to do this at a young age? Don't worry about storytelling. I mean, let it happen naturally. That's what I'm saying. Because it will happen naturally. So at that age, like, get a sketchbook, draw what you like, see what happens. All right, so now I've got a new pen here. The only problem with this is that it jacks up your pens because it's essentially a liquid adhesive. And what will happen is it's like glue, right? It will get stuck in between the fibers of your brush. So let's see if I have an old jacked up brush in the trash bin because I haven't emptied out the trash bin in a while. Okay. Hopefully there's nothing toxic in these brushes. Okay. Mike Jones scribbles, I'm 35 and had decided that comics would be my future. I was in the Marines in my 20s. Thank you for your service. But always drawing. Now I've closed down my own comic shop. I'm determined to become a professional comic artist. I think you have the key ingredient, which is determination. All right? I think determination triumphs talent more often than you think. All right? All right, so yeah, here is a lovely jacked up brush here from the trash. It's a Raphael brush. All right, let's get a piece of paper here. Let's see what happens. So if we look, let's just test it out. Oh, look, this is no good. See how there was like black ink in there? And it basically, I never even cleaned out the brush adequately. So if this went on, my concern is that I'm going to be adding grays. But watch, we'll let it dry. I'm going to test it out, make sure it works. Oh, crap. Got my hand in the ink jar. Oh, Heen Kong. Sorry. Good night, Heen Kong. Big life, Bigfoot life. Yeah, you know, I would definitely say that there's really no one path for everyone. Meaning, you know, this is the way to break in, or this is the way to have a career in art. Everyone will have a different history, and we tend to be unique in the way we got here. All right, so hopefully that's dried out. Oh, look at that. Okay, so it doesn't matter if the frisket gets gray, and actually that's not too bad because I can actually see where the frisket is. It's like rubber cement without the smell. I've used rubber cement as a frisket as well. Harlequin Hawk. The brain doesn't stop growing until you're 26. That's why doctors don't recommend you smoke weed till after 26. That's what I'll explain to my kids. After that, just go nuts. Just smoke up. Just knock yourself out. Are you okay, Jim? What does that mean? Is there something wrong? Work injury. Oh, my shoulder. Yeah, it was not good. Yeah, it feels like a really sharp, deep Charlie horse, and it just kind of builds up to a crescendo, and then it fades away. How did I manage to do it? It's kind of embarrassing, but yeah, the triceps are too big for my shoulders. Very small muscles. Thanks, Squash212. I don't know if it's rotator cuff torn. The doctor said it was thin muscles, but it does feel like it's in, I don't know. The MRI will reveal it, but the drawing hand's fine. If there's a problem, I'm going to have them amputate my shoulder to my elbow, and they're just going to attach my elbow to my shoulder. And the streams would just be a little uncomfortable, but I will continue streaming. So don't you guys worry. Keep your subs active. So stupid. Jim's talking about puberty now. Great. No, I'm not. So, what happened? I did do a cartwheel once on a panel in New York City. I think I spun on my head. Yeah, so I got to get caught up. I'm like way behind. No one unsubscribed. Thanks, Crispy. Winter Soldier arm. No. So what happened was, I think the very first incidents was years ago. I travel a lot, and you put your bag overhead, and I think I just had a super heavy carry-on bag, and as I pulled it out very quickly, it was heavy, and I couldn't. It was falling, and I didn't want it to hit somebody or come crashing down. So I basically put on the brakes and put resistance, but it was heavy, and so I felt something really painful then, and didn't really think about it beyond that. But then, over the years, I've gotten bits of shooting pain, and then recently I can't even reach behind my back really beyond this without it kind of doing what it's doing. So they're gonna do an MRI. I'll probably have some physical therapy in my future, and it will be what it is. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna put some liquid frisket on this. This is kind of creepy. So here we go. When did I start taking art serious? It was in college. All right, so I never drew panel to panel work until my senior year in high school. And even then, I basically kind of wrote and illustrated a comic that was really not even a full comic. It was done on typing paper, and I think I might have drawn like 12 pages of it. It was kind of a sci-fi. It was almost like outer space royal family. So it had a fusion of like Dune with Star Wars. I think a big fan of the Dune books, and then in college, I think I tried a couple times to draw panel to panel stuff. I just didn't have the discipline. I just didn't. I think I'd sit down and start, and I just couldn't do it. Mentally, I couldn't do it. I could draw things. I could draw single illustrations, and I did a lot of stuff like play product, like posters for plays and stuff like that. School productions. But drawing a whole story, it just was. It's like drawing the backgrounds and you know all the stuff. I could draw the fights. I could draw like the poses, but I didn't want to draw the stuff that made it a story. And it wasn't until my junior year that I saw an ad in like Marvel Fanfare where they were trying to get they're trying it's like a editorial written by like Jim Shooter talking about how Marvel's wanting to hire new talent, send in your submissions. And I think it basically said like send in 3 pages or whatever, and that's when I started again. Still couldn't do it. I think I might have drawn like a couple pages, but they weren't great. So it wasn't until after I graduated from college, and I think either it was the age that I was at or the fact that I was out of school and didn't have to deal with homework and papers and exams. I could just kind of focus on the art. That I think it started to get. I was able to do it, but then once I started doing it, I was able to do it pretty consistently. So I was trying to draw a page a day, and so I had a submission, mail it off, and before I even got replies, I start on my next submission. I was just kind of creating my own action sequences or story bit sequences. They weren't all action. So it had establishing shots, it had close-ups, it had people in regular clothes, it had cars, and then it had the characters fighting. So I was really tailoring the submissions with intent of getting hired, not so much of like, hey, here's this amazing story, publish it for me, because that's just not going to happen, right? If you're an up-and-coming writer, do not send in, here's my 12-part maxi series that explains the true origin of Batman, or the first time that Batman and Superman ever met, and nothing earth-shattering. It's just show me that you can write a story that has 3 acts and that you understand story structure and characterization, you know how to do a character-driven story, and that you understand dialogue and pacing, and that you can spell. Start with the basics. Start with the basics. Oh no, I've got Scott Williams' signature here, so I got to make sure I don't cover that up. Sorry. Okay, do that. And let's see what happens when I do this. If you could tell, like, this brush is no longer a brush. All the hairs have kind of coalesced and it's just like a stump. It's literally kind of pushing the liquid frisket across the page instead of like wiping it. I don't think I've ever used liquid frisket and done a smudge effect like this, so this will be interesting to see what happens. Sorry, Scott. I apologize in advance if this ends up being horrifically awful. We thank you for your pencils. Wow, there's a lot to frisket though too. Okay. Which isn't to say that I'm not going to be careful when I get to it. I am. But this is to kind of prevent me from going a little too crazy with it. Yeah, but you know what? If Francis, I don't know if Francis Metapole has a regular stream schedule, but if he does, I'll gladly raid him. We kind of just tend to, Kirihiko tends to identify people kind of, because she never knows exactly where we're going to end. So you want to find someone that's on there, active in stream, and then we go raid them. But if we can coordinate our efforts, we can actually pinpoint people in advance and do stuff to really kind of spotlight certain artists. I think I got everything. Okay. So now we're going to let that dry. Let's open up our... So I bought Kleenex. What was happening with toilet paper and using that to kind of smear the ink is that the toilet paper, because it goes in your toilet, it's designed to essentially disintegrate when it hits water. So the surface doesn't last very long as a smooth surface. It starts breaking up, and then the little pieces that break up have ink on them. And so when I smudge the ink, I would start seeing flecks of black spots that were kind of like black marks rather than a smooth gradient. So I know that these are designed to withstand moisture better, and so they will not break up, and I'll get a smoother gradient, which will look more smoke-like. Welcome back, Crispy. What prospects are there at DC for those who are not artists but have a master's degree in administration? Well, we have 240 employees that have all sorts of degrees. So I would Google. We actively post jobs on a website. I think it's Warner Brothers. So I would Google looking for a job at Warner Brothers, and then you should, or Time Warner. You'll see a lot of positions that are open. Just keep checking in. You know who needs to do a stream, says Bamfart, while working on his secret project, Mark Silvestri. Mark is not super techno savvy, and I don't say that as a slight. I mean, I had dinner with him a couple months ago, and we were kind of talking about that. He really likes working with analog materials in a traditional setting. I don't think he's opposed to it, but I think setting it up with the lighting and using OBS and doing all that kind of stuff might be a little intimidating or too much of a hassle. But yeah, it'd be great to get him to stream. He's like a fantastic artist, one of my favorite. Superhero Swim Art. So should I drop out and just focus on my art? Kidding. I appreciate you talking about this, so it really helps me put things into perspective for the long road ahead. Very inspiring. Helps a lot. Thanks, Jim. No problem, man. You may not feel young, but you got a lot of roadway ahead of you. Got a lot of runway ahead of you. You will take off when the time is right, and you should. What you'll find is all the experiences you have now will later inform what you do for a living and your life in unexpected ways. So I really recommend artists to travel and take in the world and just sort of experience life and let that kind of inspire your passion. It does make an impact. Okay. Sound Murderer. Thank you. I've been watching you off and on for 6 months. Thanks a lot for sharing. No problem, man. My pleasure. Mansage. You're so positive and encouraging, Jim. You sound surprised. Yeah, Mark is one of the original rock stars. When all the comic book artists were short and nerdy or a little doughy and sedentary looking, Mark was like 6'6", like chiseled, working out. Always had lovely companions, and he drew the X-Men kind of in his spare time, like while he was hanging out on his pad in Malibu Beach. He was like, "Oh, I remember someone, another professional saying, Mark is the adult I want to grow up to be," and this guy was like 30 already, so it was kind of funny. So he was definitely stood out from the rest of us. Quantum Priest. You are an inspiration, my favorite artist by far. Where is the best place for you to see and give feedback for beginner artists fan of your art? Dude, go to YouTube. There's so much information online. There's, these streams, other people stream. I mean, there's a lot of great information. Ryan Benjamin is Jack too. Yeah. Ask Ryan Benjamin who beat him in a push-up contest once back in the day. All right. Bafum Art. I'm 30 already, and all those stories are still inspirational to me. Yeah. Comics is a lot of fun. All right, let's see if I can do this. Woo! It's so nerve-wracking. All right, let's see what I got. Did I just make that sound? Ooh, sorry, I don't know what I was channeling there. What question do you have, Penda Demus? I didn't necessarily ignore. Sometimes I see without seeing. Could we get into a martial arts discussion on Ryan Benjamin's stream? I don't know what that means. Trust me, when I think about my image, I don't think of, ooh, that's not, just ignore that. Just that, no. I don't want you to think about that when you see my art. I want you to think of confidence and and direction, and I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right, here we go. First off, let's make sure that we have the right loadout. Okay. Okay. I think it's a little too loaded, right? It's coming in a little too wet, too thick. I want to dry it out a little bit. Okay, now Here we go. Wish me luck. As expected, I picked up some of the ink, kind of. Some of the stuff seemed to rub off with the Kleenex and get attached to the Kleenex. So, what does that mean? Well, what it means is it's giving me like those black blobs I don't want. Again. Okay. All right. Baphomet Art. Don't give away the ending. Good night, One True Kyle. Good night. Ryan will be streaming another week or so. I'll ask him about the push-ups. Maybe he I was his boss, so maybe he let me win. But we did like over 100, close to it. Nobody panic. I'm all good. Did you wipe off the white you were painting? I'm sure that some of it came off and is on the original. So, could you use a sponge? Yeah, you can use a sponge. I don't think you'll get a smooth effect like with Kleenex, but you can use a sponge to create like foliage effects or bushes. I've done that before. Anthony Romwell, Jim, I tried to ink with a tissue today. I was brave and it sucked. Okay, you have to remember, you're never going to be great at anything the first time. If you just give yourself the freedom to be crappy the first few hundred times, then you'll be better off. Just assume that it's not going to work. Yeah, so it's fun. Hi there, Tron Zone from Australia. Could you use a Q-tip to make those ink smudges? Yeah, I've inked with a Q-tip as well. It won't give you that kind of smudge. You need something pretty soft. All right, what do we have here? Johan Ja Thomas 5221 has subscribed using Prime. Go Retro has subscribed as well. Nice Stew has subscribed. Casey Gesk has cheered. Who would win an arm wrestling contest between you and Bruce Campbell? For sure, Bruce Campbell. Like, I'm not a strong person. I have very short arms, and I have a light. I'm not pushing as much body mass as Ryan Benjamin, right? His upper torso probably weighs as much as I do in its entirety. So there's like it's mechanically built to make easy push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Tigiri has subscribed. Kirihiko has resubscribed for 10 months. I already acknowledged that. Chance Carter has donated. Thank you very much, Chance. I appreciate it. Where's the best place for you to see fan art? I'm a beginning artist and would love to see fan art. So if you go on Discord, that's where people have posted stuff. The mods, the ever helpful mods will have information on that. Faustus Bob has resubscribed as well. Bigfoot Life has subscribed. And Scribbles of Lexus hosted with 3 viewers. Welcome in. Okay. All right, let me see if my Amazon tablet is fired up. Oh, all the mods are gone? In a wrestling match? I don't know. I used to wrestle in high school and college. I don't know. But with this shoulder, I don't think I could do anything at this point. My vision is based on movement. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens here. Let's make sure I have a clean hand. You know what? I'm going to use an eraser so I don't smudge it with my dirty finger. Well, the eraser can pick up the art itself, so I gotta figure out what's the best way. Probably a clean finger would be the best. That looks relatively clean. So you can see where it leaked over here a little bit. Okay. I've got my band hammer ready. Oops. It is satisfying. Oh no, he's talking about the band hammer. This sounds awful and painful? Perhaps. This is like those moments, there's a TV show, well, there's a movie series, franchise, Mission Impossible, where they put on these like fake rubber masks, and at the end they would just kind of like wipe them off like this and reveal their true identity, you know, after they'd fooled somebody. And then they would play the kick-ass theme music, and then you'd see that they just basically, you know, pulled a fast one over a crook. Okay, so that didn't work too well right there, right? Some leakage, but I can clean that up. I don't know why I covered the name. Didn't need to do that. Okay, that's not super clean there. Okay. So now let's just use an eraser to see if I can pick up any bits of I'm going to erase the pencils that he had underneath here. Okay, so the areas I'm most interested in are the edges here. Like that's pretty successful, that's less successful. I like some of this here. This kind of stuff I'm okay with because I'm just going to go with a brush and fill that out, right? Scott just committed suicide. Do I get nervous inking other people's art? No, no. I just warn them in advance. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional inker. I figure that's enough, you know, and it's on them, you know, liability. It's like when you go skydiving or bungee jumping, you have to sign a release. I just have Scott sign a release. I am not responsible for how the artwork turns out. It's on you. You chose this. You made the decision. All right. Okay. Okay, now go back to a regular brush. Load that up with some ink. All right, here we go. Will you take credit if it's a good ink job? Damn straight I will. What's wrong with you, man? Don't you know how art works? I tell my parents, Castle Geek Skull says, I tell my parents about everything they disapprove of. You had me in the first place. You chose this. Yeah, that's right. I didn't create me. You created me. I'm not responsible for my actions. You're the one that brought me into this world. If I'm a screw up, it's something you did. Obviously, traumatized me as a kid somehow. I I I think there's some legitimacy to that. But you think I chose to be a screw up? You think I chose a life where I would shoplift? All right, I better stop. There might be some parents listening going, I do not approve of this stream. The comic source. Jim, tell your Anthony Bourdain San Diego Comic Con story. How do you know what my. So shocked about his passing. How do you know my San Diego Comic Con Anthony Bourdain story, comic source? Did you actually, you know what? I probably shared it with you at a panel. Is that possible? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I think the lean. You're right. Definitely, definitely not Dylan. The lean stream, like definitely weeded out. Yeah. Have I ever talked to my parents about the stream Pandemus? My parents just barely understand that there's something called the internet at this point. Exactly, a panel where Anthony. Yeah. So, oh wait, was I on the panel with Anthony Bourdain? He did. He actually did do a panel with us because he was a fan of comic books as a kid, and he ended up doing two graphic novels through Vertigo, Get Hero, about a sushi chef in the near future that was kind of in a war with other chefs, and the chefs were kind of pastiches or kind of based on real personalities. Very entertaining, interesting read. And he came to San Diego Comic Con to promote his book. And it's funny because I think we picked him up at the Omni Hotel or something like that, and or we met him at up at a bar in the Omni, and then we went descended. But I had with Carlo was me and our first child, River, who was she must have been she was born in December, so she must have been 7 months old. And so we're all like, San Diego Comic Con. If you've ever been there, the elevators get packed with people. So like Anthony Bourdain's in the back because he's super tall, and my wife's kind of pressed up against him and has River in her arms. And so since he's so tall, he could kind of lean over, and he just kind of leaned over and he went, I love that smell, the smell of newborn babies. But it sounded like he was Hannibal Lecter, like he was going to eat River. But it was awesome because it's just like a funny tidbit. He's just kind of saying what was on his mind, and obviously I knew exactly what it meant because any of you guys have kids, newborns have a very distinct smell, and so it was just a kind of fun little moment. And yeah, I mean, we talked to him backstage before we went on stage, and yeah, he grew up like reading like the Kirby stuff and from like the '60s and '70s, and guy is just great presence. I mean, talk about charisma, and I think I think he even said he didn't consider himself a great chef. That wasn't, he worked in he started off working in the culinary industry, but he evolved to become an adventurer. If you really think about what he did with his show, and really also as like an ambassador, he went around the world kind of introducing people who may have never gone to like Armenia, like kind of about its culture through its food. And I think he recognized that food is something that brings people together. Literally, people convene at tables. That's where they break bread and share their day, and the power of that kind of ritual, and how it could really unite, cultures and people. by sharing this knowledge and sharing these cultural things, because we can all identify with them, even if the food's very different from our own, the cuisine's very different, that we can all identify with these kinds of rituals in our lives. So I think that's why the show was so successful, and I think that's why he was so beloved. So yeah, it was very, very sad to hear it, to read it first thing in the morning. All right. Yeah. And the weird thing was, I had just read a pretty interesting profile on him in People magazine while I was waiting to see the doctor. That was, I don't know if it was a recent, I think it was fairly recent, and that it had like Prince Harry on the cover. But there was kind of an article about him, and he was shooting. It talked about how Popeyes was one of his favorite restaurants. I love Popeyes as well. And he went to one that still had a buffet. It's like the only one in North America that had a buffet, and that was like outside of New Orleans or something, or somewhere in Louisiana. And it was a really interesting article. And I remember even thinking, like, whoa, what a life he's got. I mean, he travels the world and just kind of he follows his own kind of muse, and like, this is the life, right? And I think it kind of shows you that we truly can't understand, what someone else goes through, and that we should be as kind and understanding as possible, because you never know. So, yeah. Okay. And that was literally like a week before this all went down. Okay, so there are things that I need to clean up for sure. Am I drawing a cover? No, this is a piece of art that Scott Williams, who's my inker, he also draws, and he's like, hey, on my bucket list, I'd love to have you ink something of mine. And so I said, just signed this disclaimer form, because I only like to ink after a heavy night of drinking, so I can't really. So here we are, Friday night. Okay. Well, how is Ren Elephant tired? Why is he tired? Oh, Ren Elephant probably worked today, no? Crispy's like, yep, here we are, Friday night. I know exactly the tone he used. Oh, you're off today. Take another shower, Ren. Ren, do you regret sharing how many showers you take a day? This stream misses nothing. Like, it's on like perma roast mode, so if you say something, it becomes a sub meme, meaning it's a meme that only exists in this stream, and it's hard to shake it. Good night, Michael Demergus. Got to clean off the hate. Hater, you got to clean off the got to wash off the haterade. Perma roast. Ask for that at Starbucks. Yep. All right, where are we at? Okay. Oh, still a little glue on there. I thought there was a little some over here. I noticed. Okay. This is so clean. I don't even think I have to erase the pencils, to be honest. I might do a light erase at this point, so you can kind of see the whole image. Well, it's only 11:38. It feels a lot later. Probably because I usually start drawing around like 11 o'clock at night. So this would be, yeah, it would be like 1 in the morning. I started like roughly like 9:30, I think. All right, let me tape down the corners. Shakatek SF. Your art style is so iconic and amazing. Love it. Thank you very much for your kind words. Very nice. Superhero swimmer art. Truly a teenage observation. That sounded like a fart. What time do you usually get up? I got up at 6:30 this morning. Sleeping's for the Crispies of the world. All right, let me see if I can. All right. I'm trying to get this all in frame here. It's a little tricky. Oh, don't worry, Crispy. I love sleep too. When I was younger, I would sleep like 12, 14 hours a day. Okay, as you can see, there's distortion, meaning that there's an incline. The camera doesn't quite match the incline of it. So, although it's not really distorting anything too badly, I'm like looking at the original in the image here. All right. Maybe the heads are a little small. Like I think it's really more like this. All right. So there you go. Okay. And now I'm just going to do the bottom. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a toothbrush splatter rather than a credit card splatter. The toothbrush splatter gives you a finer mist of white, which will make it look more kind of fog-like. I have this, I think it's one of those complimentary toothbrushes you get on a plane. Okay. I don't know if I have white out here. I unfortunately moved a lot of my art supplies around. I think I took them into the office. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Hold on. Alright, I think I got this powered up enough that'll work. It makes for a less awkward stream because I can look this way. It's a giveaway, Pandema says, and Scott Williams won. Is that toothbrush soft or firm? It is soft. I hear it's better for your teeth. That's what my dentist says. Okay. I don't want to get any whiteout on the signature. So actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead now. Okay. And yeah. Okay. I need my glasses for this. Mason's gonna. This is not Mason's toothbrush. There'll be no Mason DNA on this image. But you know, you also get like the free toothbrushes from your dentist or whatever, and so I save those for these kind of streams. So I'm just cleaning up like little lines. Right. Okay. All right, now we gotta get it down here. Does Scott Williams use this? No, I think he uses acrylic whiteout. Like he brushes it. I think. I wouldn't be 100%. I don't really ask. If you screw up, what I do is I take my finger and I push the ink up so that I don't get a big blob of ink. A big blob of ink is hard to re-ink over because it's a 3D thing and the ink line basically bends over the bump and you get something that doesn't look flat. So, but if you push up the ink, you're basically pushing the whiteout off the ink page, and so you can go back in and correct it more easily. Wow, you can feel like the texture of the... I think I picked up... Ooh. Yeah, I picked up paper here. Yikes. I took paper off. It's not as smooth and paper here too. Yeah. Thank you, Liquid Frisket. The original looks fine though. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know. So Scott, I hope Scott doesn't watch this. Okay. Okay. And then see these little... I want to create... So we're going to go back in and clean up some of the edges here. Okay. Put some ink down and smudge it down a little bit. There we go. And we're going here. Clean that up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if I would recommend this liquid Frisket for this type of paper. Kind of tore it up. Just clean some of these lines up here. Oh, this paper is very toothy underneath. All right. I'm presuming Scott's packing right now. He's leaving for Australia in a couple days. So those of you down there, down under, good to see him and Alex Sinclair. Okay, I don't know about this here. It's still too dark. Okay. Golf Boy Sunday. Great stream, Jim. Will likely mix the next few as I'll be welcoming a new baby. Thanks for always inspiring. Hey, congrats, Golf Boy Sunday. Enjoy your newborn child. I don't know if it's your first or your last. Good night, gals and guys and gals, says Bamfart. Looking good, the inking, that is. Okay. All right, what do we got? Let me. CT Firebird has cheered. Thank you very much. Golf Boy Sunday. I already got that. I think Shack Attacks SF has subscribed. I believe I already mentioned that as well. So I'm caught up. The last bit of business here is splatter. So I'm going to do that right now for you guys. And I'll be done with this piece. And we'll move on to the next one. Where's the toothbrush? Toothbrush. It fell on the floor. Excuse me. There we go. All right, here we go. You'll notice with the whiteout, it starts, the brushes again start sticking to each other, and you start getting streaks of whiteout. You don't get the droplets anymore, so it's kind of, you only have a certain amount of time before that kind of happens, so you got to kind of hit it quickly. Okay. I think I'm almost done here. Oop, I said the phrase. Okay, I'm done. So I've got this splatter on here. I gotta let that dry. I could scrape it off. Kind of screwed up my signature. I'm not used to signing underneath someone's name. The E's kind of like it. It's like a car that went underneath a 18-wheeler. Fail. Nia Jackson, man, I've dropped the phone on my face 3 times trying to stay up. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You watch it on your back, right? I've done that for conference calls where I was super tired. Like you hold the phone above your head, and if you pass out, like you drop the phone onto your face. So that is a tried and true method. The Pickle Weasel. Good to see you again, dude. The Pickle Weasel. Met him at Orlando Comic-Con. You demand, thank you for the bits. Appreciate it. Crispy Egg Roll says the entire piece is now ruined. Thank you. My heart sinks. Is there a signature hierarchy? Yeah, well, the penciler usually goes first, and then the color, or the inker, and then the colorist. So since I write my name in ink on pencils, I can just put it wherever I want. I didn't quite calibrate the A and the M coming down so sharply. But I think that's weird. Look, honestly, Scott, if there's any bit of advice I could give you, feedback on this whole piece, like it's a beautiful piece. The highlights are awesome. the structure, the composition, the expressions. But you really need to work on your signature. Because if someone else is going to ink you and you're dropping the A and the M like that, dude, like, look how far down I have to sign. Like, you're really inconveniencing me. You know, think about it. I gotta put that thing way the heck down there. We're gonna have like this giant space between your name and my name because of 2 letters. Just saying. You might want to think it. That's all. Chip Whitehouse is rating us with 22 raters. Thank you very much, Chip Whitehouse. Good to see you again. Yeah. Scott. Well, I'm just saying, just think about it. I mean, if I were Sinclair and I write Sync, I could squeeze it in there. But now, I'm going to have to confer with Sinclair. I'm sure he's been traumatized by the hanging A and the M just as much as I was just there. All right, so that is done. Blood debt fulfilled. Inking. Substandard inking confirmed. Just threw that out on the ground there. Yeah, I know. I'm a whiny biatch. All right. Thank you, Sirexian. I'm glad someone believes in me. Thank you for the raid, Chip Whitehouse. Good to see you again. Welcome in, guys. A crop stream image. All right. So I'm going to open up this package I got. Okie dokie. What? An Espion? Come on now, let's get on with the next. All right. Just chill. Vic G. Uh-oh. Shield your eyes, everyone. I hope I'm not going to tear something important by doing it this way. What'd you pack in here? Like, this thing weighs like 15 pounds. It's got literally lead sheets of, there's asbestos right there. 5 years off my life. Thank you. My God. I hope I don't rip up anything important inside. You see this dust? Crispy. There's a 50-page love letter in there. Oh my God. Look at this. Can you see this? Oh my God. Okay. Next time just email me a file. I'll just digitally ink it. I mean, why not? Oh my God. This is like an envelope from like the 1970s. Literally has okay. I could feel it coagulating in my throat. Okay. Here we are. Hold on. Is there anything else in here? Hold on. Just want to make sure. Oh my God. All right. Yeah, Book and Red. We're gonna have to do a packaging seminar here. I'm highly allergic to dust. Almost asthmatic. Did you blame your wife? Is that what happened? My wife had one job. Sure. All right. Ignite Comics has cheered. Cheering now before I doze off. Awesome stream, dude. Good night, Ignite Comics. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. All right. Kid Rambo is hosted, as has Polly Wants a Cracker. All right, coughing. So here we are. This is from Vic, our own Vic G. He put it in plastic. So it's a shot of Psylocke here. I think he had worked on it a little bit. Oh, there's other stuff on the backside here. There's some studies. Right? Doodles. Okay. All right. So, man, look at this. Does it come off? You know how you do it. If I had a credit card, do I have my wallet? No. Oh, you know what to do? I've got this. Oh no, I've got this. Let's. Okay. All right, here we are. Chris, how did I do? How'd you do that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so there's a bit of distortion, camera distortion. So this is the image here. It's Psylocke. Yeah, I know Nia Jackson. I think each of us in this stream is damaged in some way or form, one way or another. Some more than others. Crispy egg roll. And yeah, but that's what unites us. The fact that we share obsessions, that we have a passion for art. Hey PK, how you doing, man? I hadn't seen you, but I assume you were here. All right, here we go. So like I did with Scott, I'm going to start by inking kind of what's there, and then I'll probably work on it a little bit. And the same thing I did with Buchan Red, I'll probably add a background. I don't really see anything, so I'm thinking some sort of dark shadow thing going on. I don't know. So let's go ahead and start. I've got a 0.5 marker. Let me get some glasses on so I know what I'm doing. Or maybe this will be my special blindfolded sketch stream. Sorry, Victor. I'm just... All right, here we go. Okay, let's see if I can get this here. I'm going to start with the hair. So I think the object with... so with inking, like a true inker, it would be all about making your presence known through the techniques you use. Like you can spot like a Terry Austin inked piece, or even a Scott Williams back in the day who do like these squiggle lines, right? When you do more like finishes, it's about kind of combining some of your drawing in with some of the inking, right? So it's not just the ink techniques that kind of pop out, but the actual kind of drawing itself, right? So even with just like kind of scoring off some of these angles here, instead of just going smoothly around, I'm introducing slight changes, right? Crispy. Silliness, silliness. Okay. And actually, that's funny that Crispy said that. Like, feel free, in fact, just to redraw her on an entirely new sheet of paper and send it back to me. Dash Vic G. People in the industry, professionals, do this. I'm a big fan of like Kevin Nolan's inks. I actually had him ink some covers because the way we work the art split, I think the pencil gets 2 out of 3 covers. And I don't even know if he inked 3 covers. I think he just inked 1, so that meant I got it. And it was a cover to X-Men 276, I think. And the thing with Kevin is that he typically, almost always, kind of redraw stuff. He's like, not notorious, but he's known for kind of going in and redrawing elements, but they look better than the people that you know, kind of supplied the pencil. So I was like fully expecting. I wanted to get a piece of original Kevin Nolan. I thought he would just kind of go over and redraw everything I kind of gave him, but I would have this amazing Kevin Nolan art. And instead, he would he was very faithful to the pencils. I don't know what happened. Like, he didn't get the memo or something. Like, Kevin, I want to get your art, don't ink me. But yeah, he did an amazing job, though. I was really super impressed, and it was awesome to see his technique over my pencils, because he just improved everything, and he did change things here and there and made it infinitely better. He's one of the greats, right? CTC fiber. See, that's something like what I've been asking about squaring edging in comic art. I keep wondering why. It just, look, if I would say the artwork that was created in the 50s and 60s, it had a softness to it because they used brushes to ink for the most part, and they had sort of round, soft forms, right? And a more graphical look, has more angular lines, and that feels maybe more modern, and that's why you saw that, right? All right. So, okay, let's see what I got here. So I'm going to go in and add elements of Psylocke that kind of I do, but I'm using his structure and placement. So hopefully I still retain a bit of what he put down. I think the thing that I'm going to probably work on the most is that the upper lip is like super close to the bottom of the nose, like it feels like compressed. Right? So I'm just going to bring it down a tad. And I'm just going to, the same way he nicely casts a shadow off the nose and the bridge, I'm just going to do it off the upper lip. And then I'm going to do the same thing off the lower lip, right? And I'm using a 0.5 because I think there's not a lot of fine rendering, so I don't really need to kind of go. There's not a lot of rendering, so it's more about line weights and shadows, like blocky shadows, right? Mer Capnip. Do you ink and send the pieces back? I do. I do. And I'm going to go in with brush there and fill that in. Now you have black on black here, and this is behind her neck, and so I want to create a little more more depth. Oh, don't worry, I'll figure out where you should sign it, and I'll put mine. So just sign over my name, but don't do a big drop on the V or the G. Just do me a favor. Have you actually, Vic, have you done a, do you have like a signature that you put on your art? Just say yes or no. If not, I will create a signature for you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put some structure lines in there. I don't know if I'm going to ink it that way, but I do know that I have to separate a little bit of what's going on here. I'm going to dip in towards the wrist a little bit more than you've got, and then come out and just hit some of these angles here with the okay. There's the shoulder. So the line weight here is going to be important to me, so I'm going to make that thicker off the sides and the bottom. I think, is this the band? I said this is the forearm. Okay. I'm going to move it over here because this has to connect up with this. So I think you have it a little over. I'm going to move that whole thing over a bit because this also has to come back up and loop up here, right? If it's over here, you'd see more of it over there, right? And this band, because it's foreshortened, I'm going to make it, I'm going to drop it down a lot. Okay. I realize the light source is over here, but I'm putting the highlight up here. Okay, we'll see how it looks when it's inked. Or, you know, after I. So this hand is pretty good. So I'm just gonna like add a couple different angles, kind of sharpen the graphic shapes there. Maybe add a little length. Because this finger is a little longer as well. Okay. Remember the palm has to connect all the way, so these fingers are all going to kind of start around the same area here. So for those of you who are interested in having this, doing this as well, if you go to the Discord channel and you're a sub, we will figure out a way. I'll probably do it in the stream on Sunday where I'll just roll for, it'll be a sub-only roll. You got to type in a word or something like that and go from there. Okay. It's a 0.5. Okay, so now I'm looking at the chest. So independent of the mammary glands, as we like to call them in the industry. So here's the rib cage. Here's the back line. So this has got to go like this. I think that line, I'm going to pull it in just a little bit because it has to come in. Come down here. Okay. And then with this belt, I'm I'm not quite sure why it's riding up that way, so I probably, let me just go here for a second. Okay. And this line's good. I think it expresses the form well. I don't know if the leg, I feel like this is still part of the rear. So if you were to draw the rest of this leg, and I encourage people, like when they're trying to figure this out, like, right? Right? Like, this would actually come down here at least, right? And so the bottom of the pelvis is here. So the earliest the strap could start would be right there. Right? Oh, foreshorten a bit. Okay. Foreshorten. No. No, I get the sense. Well, foreshorten. No, the hand would be foreshortened. The hand is the closest thing to us, unless you're talking about the hand. I don't know. So this is the hip. So we don't have to put that there, but we will go ahead and do this. All right, and we'll. So on this one, I actually drew the line slightly like that. It's hard to tell, but it's a slight shift, and it's important because I think this leg is expressed through these kinds of lines. All right, the same way this leg is expressed through these kinds of lines. And then I would probably go ahead and if the buckle is in the front part of the body and not this, like this is like the side, like the side of her hip. So I think the buckle, I'm going to put, I don't even remember her having a buckle, to be honest. So I'm going to put the buckle over here. Same concept, just moving its placement just a little bit. Kind of doing some of the same. So if I had to draw the structure, lats, rib cage, right? This line has to meet up with this line. So ignore the secondary sexual characteristics of the form and know that this has to go up and meet here. So really this angle has to be more like that. Right? Is it exceptionally thick strap? I don't know. All right, and then I can come down here. I'm going to use a dry brush effect to get the edges of the stream of the highlights here. So I'm not going to put a line, but all right. So we're going to put one breast right here. I'm going to come up a little shorter because this has to insert itself the edge of it into that armpit there. So this one, because this line has to meet up here, and I think it has to be like this. I know it kind of shrinks it down, but you can always liquefy in Photoshop to your heart's content. But I think structurally, and then I have to match this cup with this, so this looks larger, so I just have to note that when I ink it. Okay. So now think about this hair is coming down. It widens out, right? But you're drawing it in the same plane. Like all this hair looks like it's in the same plane. It would be more interesting, I think, if if you're looking from the top view, right? If this is the part of her hair, right? There's her eyes and her nose, ear. This hair comes around. Think of like Japanese anime hair. Right? Think about it as three pieces, possibly, that this one being at the highest, this one being underneath it, that one being at the lowest. Right? Don't think about it being flat like this. Okay? Think about it as a section of hair that twists like a tie, a necktie. Right? If this were a necktie. Okay? Now you start seeing 3D structure, right? By doing this and doing this and doing that, forming triangular shapes. Okay? All right. So when I think of this hair, I don't know if it would splay out even that wide. So I'm going to take the part where this chunk here and say, all right, this part will go up and over. And when I ink with the brush, you're going to see that kind of reflected. And let's go like this. Let's start carving some of those triangular shapes I was talking about. What happens if we do that? I do like how you have a lot more hair. That looks almost too not enough. So let's go ahead and put out what you have here. Okay. Again, looking for those triangular shapes. And so we make it more Western. We put individual strands or smaller strands, so it's not all these big angular chunks, right? And when we ink it, you'll see it makes more sense. And then we have this energy crackle, and I think I'll do the energy crackle with just the side of the brush, and use like the template that you have here with pencil. Okay, so I think our work is mostly done. I'm looking for the cap. I don't see it. I'll figure it out later. Okay, so let's get the brush. That's my crappy brush. Here's the good brush. Okay, I'm going to put some ink into a reservoir there. And here we go. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. All right. So I'm going to first drop in this shadow here, and you'll see what it does is it really kind of makes that forearm. Hopefully you can see it. The pencil line's still a little dark, but kind of, right? Okay. What do we have here? We have John Keg hosting us with 5 viewers. Welcome in, guys. Zeke Max has subscribed. Oral Plays has subscribed. I Am Stein has subscribed as well. J for Jules, thank you very much for the cheer. I appreciate it. Ignite Comics has also cheered. Before I doze off, thank you very much, Ignite Comics. Awesome stream. I think I already said that. So thank you again. I can never thank people enough, honestly. All right, here we go. Here we go. We're going to do some dry brush and hopefully have some fun with this. So the areas that are black. That's right there. Let's go ahead and put a shadow right here. Let's go ahead and invest ourselves into that core shadow. Okay. I'm not sure. I'll keep this kind of loose back here. So I'm envisioning that the energy crackle or whatever is gonna go over that, and so it's almost like a core sort of shadow effect that we got going on. And I do that because I want to push it back, so I need to have some separation here between the front and back. Good night, Gummy35. Okay. So I'm going to do a rim light as well down here. And then, or maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Let's start with the rim light. I know I can always kind of fill it in. Okay. I got to figure out what to do up here. I want to do something I haven't quite figured out, but the rib cage is there. I'm just trying to dry out this brush here before I get to the highlight. So don't mind me. Almost at the dry brush I need it to be. Almost. Okay, here we go. And let's go ahead and continue it down here. And then go ahead and play it off here, off the thigh. When it gets drier, the slower you go, the more ink comes down. If I moved it quickly, nothing comes out. That's how dry it is there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do a dry brush effect here. And I'm going to move this triangular element because I moved this one breast over this way. This whole thing's going to move over as well, structurally. Okay. To separate, if I go all black here, it's just going to disappear into this shadow and these shadows, so I'm going to do some modeling like I did here, but very basic. So the pads of the hand are actually like little chiclets or square bases that are rounded on the sides. So the shadows are going to form around the edges. Okay. And then there's a sort of again a sort of igloo shape here, so the shadows are on the edges of that kind of the palm, the ball palm of your hand. There's a valley here, so you get a shadow, and then it pops out again. And it's all dry brush to kind of give it hopefully a little bit of that kind of leather or kind of look. Okay. I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and take this all the way to black. Okay. And that'll allow me to take all this to black as well. I don't have to worry about any sort of rim light effect. Ziertalk has subscribed as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. All right, and then we'll finish this here. Now, I'm not sure why you didn't put any shadows in the hair itself, so I'm going to go ahead and place some, but I feel like you went in really hard with the shadows on her figure, but not necessarily on her hair. And so I feel like something we want to add, right? Correct? So light source, side of the head, shadows are going to be here. Same here, but I'm going to add some white so that it doesn't look like her neck's super thick. So we'll have strands kind of pop out. We're not going to do rim lighting, so I can go all the way to black at the edge. And as that hair kind of swoops down, it goes to black, right? It's the shadow. Okay. Actually, this stream I'm only inking other people's art. I haven't drawn anything. I mean, I've done kind of finished type work. Light source here, so deep shadows underneath. I'm gonna do the biggest, boldest shadows first. Okay. And then add a core shadow at the top of the head. Right? Like this light is bouncing off here. And then as we get to the other side, it gets lighter. And I'm going to use a thinner pen, or actually the 5 again, to kind of tease out the hair. Okay. See, really work the paper. You can see groove marks. If I lightly ink it, you see little white lines, and it's because there's grooves in the paper where he drew something and erased it, where the ink goes over the top, it doesn't go into the groove, and so you're getting like that kind of effect here. All right. So I think we have most of the shadows down. Let's zoom in a little closer. There's a lot of like kind of empty space here. Hold on a second. Where's the, sorry for... Why is it not zooming in? Am I going the wrong way? There we go. There we go. Oh, crap. Great. Oh, sorry, there's a delay. Hold on, I need to open the OBS window. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. There we go. Leave it there. All right. Let's see what kind of effect I get. Here we go. I'll use the tissue effect. It's the tissue I used before. Just find another part here. If you dab it in, you get kind of a energy effect. Okay. All right. And now I'm thinking that I want to do a cast shadow. I don't know how that's going to look though. It would be here, but it'd be one of those things like, why is there a cast shadow? Like, it'd be here and across. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to. So here we go. I'm going to just start erasing some of the lines, the competing lines, just lightly. Still leave some of it here. Okay. Okay, I'll start seeing what I need to do. Okay. So this in and of itself stylistically can work, right? It's there are artists that kind of work at this scale, like lines with fairly large shadows without too much line work, but I'm kind of known for putting lines, so there are a couple things I want to do. First, we're going to do a gradient across this part. to make all this, the ribs kind of show up in shadow, right? The highlight, then the focus becomes mostly on this area here. Okay. We'll clean this up a little bit, kind of fade it out. Okay. Clean that up a little bit. Continue these lines to their logical place where they should be. Gonna make this thumb, it's in the foreground. It's foreshortened, so I'm going to really kind of beef up the lines around the hand. Okay. And then really make the forearm part here very wide on the outside as well. Okay. I'm gonna feather the hair a little bit more. Create a grad between the heavy black area and the white area. So it doesn't look quite as brushy. Okay. Same thing goes down here. Just by adding a couple more lines, it makes it look like the black shadows are accumulation, a sum of a bunch of lines as opposed to one line. Okay. Make this a little darker because it's the back again. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do the whiteout effects. All right. I think this is pretty broad. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink it down a little bit. And I realize that there's going to be a lot of whiteout. And I'm going to actually do it this so it doesn't congeal at the bottom. I want it to flatten out. Meaning the gravity would kind of make it all cake at the bottom, like flatten out, and I want to make it a little bit lighter than that. The problem with the tissue is that it kind of gives you the same width kind of pattern, and I just kind of want to narrow it a bit here and there. Okay. Like right in there, maybe make. And then of course then the inside of this is going to have. Good morning to Tony Lewis, 33. Dream Infinity 808. You'd have to ask VZA or VVicG. I don't know. It's not my paper. Max Max to Nips. Yes, I do indeed. Whiteout makes it fun. Holden CK has resubscribed, as is Toto Herbs. Sequentially Quaint and Zero Tech. Anthony Romwell has hosted with 3 viewers. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Let that dry a little bit. What's the... You're right, the mouth is... So, here's the trick with mouths, right? Anything like if you draw a gun barrel, the light comes in... it's a shorthand. You draw like a triangular shape. It's almost like a Pac-Man in reverse at black. Right? It indicates... Right, if you have a square nut, an object like that, if there's light coming in this way, this part is in shadow and this part is in shadow. That creates 3-dimensionality. Alright, so if you think of a mouth as essentially a hexagon, the shadow's like that. Beep beep. Okay, so question is, does she have teeth? Let's go no teeth. Oh, maybe she needed teeth. I don't know. Probably needed teeth. I'll have to add it in. TMI massage. TMI. have to Google that. All right. Okay, now I just want to add some splatter. And I kind of want it to be on the thicker side. So let's go ahead and put some so use a card here. Okay, that's not that goop. There's quite a bit there, but it's all right. Didn't get into the black area. No harm, no foul. But I'm going to put right, and one last one. Kind of have want to see a little bit represented here in the hair. Okay. So, Victor, I'm thinking, I didn't see your reply. If you have a, let's put your signature right here. Vic G, something like that. You can figure out what that's going to be. No, I'm not going to edit the belt anymore. I think, let me just pull back a little bit. There we go. And turn it so that it shows up. I think I kind of like it better. All right. It's not aligned with her arm because I always drew it on top, right? It's a blade that was sitting on a psychic blade that sat on top of the arm, so it's not coming out of her fingertips, right? So if you look at it that way, right? Okay, so it is 12:56. It is time for me to end this stream. I think I have to get up early. I think we're going to see each other at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you, Crispy Egg Roll. You're the best. So thank you, Kirihiko. Thank you, Ren Elephant. Thank you to our wonderful two mods and also Crispy Egg Roll. Please thank them for staying up late, moderating this, keeping civility for the most part. And I think we're going to go raid somewhere else as well. So Kirihiko, if you want to send me that. So please hang on. It's kind of a ritual we have at the end of our streams. We go and find like another person to kind of raid and... Oh, maybe you're going to send it to me in Discord. Hold on a second. Thank you, Victor, for sending in the pencil work and allowing me to kind of do my thing over your pencils. I appreciate. I know it takes a lot. It's you have to. I'm sure it's anxiety provoking. So thank you for enduring that. I want to thank Scott Williams for allowing me to ink his piece on stream. I'll pull that up here if I can grab it. All right. So you can see this here, hopefully. Let me see if I can look at it. All right, let me see if I can do this here properly. So put that over here. This piece, let's see if I can fit it into the screen so you can see it. I'll post a picture up in the Discord channel so you guys can see it. And thank you, Mr. Deeg, for resubscribing for the past 2 months. Thank you guys for tuning in, hanging in. I know it's an odd hour, Friday night, but thanks for hanging in there. I had a lot of fun as well. So, where are we going? We are going to go... Here we go. Let's see. Like I said, I'm not a very good anchor. I probably embellish way too much for people. Okay. I'm gonna end the stream, and I'll see you guys on the other side. I'll see you over in this new stream. It should be fun.